Happy Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day,
I
the
love
day
you.
of
You love
love.
me. We love you.
God loves you.
And so do we.
You just said that, just in a different way.
Love is love.
How has y'all's Valentine's Day been? Let us know in the chat how y'all's Valentine's Day is going,
And where you watching from?
where you're watching from.
Where are you watching from?
Where are you?
Where you watching from right now? Drop it in the chat down there.
Is it Florida? Is it Michigan?
Right down there.
Minnesota? Texas? Alabama? Georgia? Don't ask me why I start saying them like that.
Africa, Australia, Italy,
Are you in a different? Are you on a different continent? I
or in
said
a different
in
country.
that too.
Are you in Puerto Rico?
Are you in Italy?
Are you in Austria? You in Paris?
We, okay,
Paris?
we just
Paris?
go. Let it go.
And that's the correct pronunciation. Paris?
Are you from? Are you from?
Me. Me. Free. Indeed.
I'm excited for tonight's topic.
What's tonight's topic?
You posted the flyer. You didn't read it.
What's tonight's topic?
You didn't read it.
I'm following your lead. Go ahead.
Lord, we finna pray because I see how this gonna go right now. Anyways, I'm excited because I love to see God show up for people in healing. And this week we've had Antonio and I have had conversations surrounding healing. God has revealed some stuff to us concerning healing, and even when and I for me it felt like I had kind of started going backwards a little bit in my healing. Um, and in me feeling like I was going backwards, the Lord told me that I am like healing is still God's love. It's still a form of God's love. Sometimes I think when we feel like we're going back, going backwards, we forget that even when it feels like we're going backwards, healing is something that God desires for all of his children. And it's not something that we it's not something that just ends badly when we allow God to put his hands on it. Healing is still the way it's a part of the way that God shows his love for us, right? He loves us enough not to let us stay in a toxic, unhealthy place. He loves us enough to um well, this week it was because I had feelings rise up. And it was not necessarily negative feelings, but feelings of sadness, like a grief. And when it comes to healing, anytime, especially when you get close at the beginning, in the middle, when you get close to being healed, those feelings rise back up. That sometimes it's the things that you thought maybe you had already overcome, and then it's like, you go to God and you have them and you're like, God, what is this? I thought I had dealt with this. Um, what is the what is that sadness tied to? Money? No, it was the sadness and the grief was tied to actually having to let somebody go that I actually loved dearly as a friend. So a friendship ended, and it didn't end necessarily because anything that I did, but it was one of those times where like God was like, okay, this has to end in order for
Yeah.
you to go up.
Sometimes a season or situation just it's just that time is up for it.
Yeah, and feelings arise in that constantly because maybe you hear a song and me and this person were super close, you know. Maybe you hear a song that y'all used to listen to, or maybe you know you did something, or you know a situation happened that happened with them. um I understand what you're saying, but feelings are not attached to just the world. We're human, so we have feelings.
Yeah,
The Bible
yeah,
tells us that we can't be so earthly, no, so heavenly minded that we're no earthly
yeah.
good.
You still gotta live. You
Process,
still gotta
yeah,
live life.
and healing, yeah, and healing. You know,
That's the case. You might as well going to be with glory.
yeah. I mean, God will definitely remove people. He will get you to a place where you can only depend upon him. But back to what I was saying, when those feelings arise, it's not because you haven't dealt with them, because a lot of times we go back to that. It's not that you haven't necessarily dealt with them properly. It's just that God has now uprooted. He's literally uprooting the things that are, you know, it's time for them to go on. It's time for you to truly be healed from this situation. And so it's still healing is still a form of God's love
That's right.
for you, or for me, for you, those who are watching. We can't forget that, and healing is hard sometimes. And I've heard it, like I used to be like, stop, people need to stop saying healing is hard. Healing is not hard. The process to healing is hard, but healing is hard because healing also allows you to recognize that you've had people in your life that you no longer need.
Well, it's like a sore. It's like a sore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I get a scrape, if I get a you know, a bruise or something like that, or you know, anything, a cut or anything like that. If I get a cut, right, and I cut my arm open, right, the healing process is going to hurt simply because my skin has to grow back together. Make sense? It has to grow back. So the process of healing this cut on my arm is going to hurt probably just as much as the cut did, right? Just as much as the cut did. That that healing process, the ointment or whatever you put in, it burns, whatever the case may be, whatever you put on peroxide, whatever you put on it, to properly tend to that cut, I got to do what's necessary for the proper healing to take place, right? So that's the same way, you know, in life. You know, we might have a, you know, an emotional cut, you know, a friendship, you know, or whatever, you know, a relationship. You may be, you know, dealing with, you know, you may be grieving a, you know, a job loss, you know, going through whatever you're going through in life, you know, whatever you're going through, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, anything, you know, it don't even have to be people, you know, it could be something that you're dealing with, you know, with, you know,
Within yourself,
yeah, within yourself. It can be, you know, self,
letting go
you
of
know.
old habits, changing
You
your
know, it could be,
mindset,
you know,
perspective.
yeah, it can be, you know, drugs, alcohol, whatever the case may be, you know, because everybody's not, you know, everybody's not on the same walk as you know. So, um, the healing has to take place, and then you can properly walk this thing out.
Well, I think it's important too that to recognize that while you're healing, God is still with you. God doesn't leave because it gets hard. I think we have this, I can almost say, I know that we as believers, we have this un I don't know where it comes from, but it's an unhealthy perspective of God. Like when we come to Christ, our lives are supposed to get easier. When it doesn't get easier, now we're mad at God, and now we're blaming Him for our lives being a wreck. And it's like, wait a minute. when you fix something, sometimes it literally is worse off when you begin to fix it than it was before, because
Mhm.
now you have exposed what needs to be fixed. You can't fix or heal from something. You can't fix or heal something that's hidden. And we have to remember that when things are exposed, like she said, like, the flower of life, that took my mind somewhere else. You can't have life like a flower, right? A flower or a plant, whatever. In order to live or have life, it needs to be nurtured. It's first buried and then it sprouts. It has to go up, grow upward, and grow through the dirt, the soil, in order to produce the fruit. Healing is the same way. So a lot of times, when that's a good analogy.
That's good.
Thank you for that. But a lot of times when we're being planted, we think that we're being set back. We think that we're being, like, we just didn't do the work properly. And I'm not saying that this is not the case.
Yeah,
Um
everybody's situation is,
it's yeah,
different.
but and the reason why we wanted to cover this tonight is because even in the midst of that, we still got to experience God's love.
Yeah.
Like, we still, like, not just God's love for us individually, but for us as a married couple, because it's something that He brought to our attention. And it could have easily been like, oh, well, God showed me that for you, I don't have to be here. But it, like, God's love was so overwhelming that it just hit us both so hard, and it made us just sit down and realize that there's a lot of people who are healing right now from unseen battles, unsaid battles, things that nobody knows about. And they really feel like they're going backwards. Like, the enemy has planted this lie that they're going backwards because they are upset, because they don't understand. The healing process can get real tricky, especially in the middle, especially in the waiting. Sometimes it seems like God goes silent, and it's not that He goes silent, or sometimes He does go silent, but He's still there. You can still depend on Him during the healing process, because at the beginning of the healing process, I don't know about y'all, but I'd be a mess. I'd be taking air, I'd be crying, I'd be mad. Like, I go through all 7 stages of grief all at once.
And it's okay. It's okay to feel.
Yes. Like, if you're not feeling,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not properly living your life. And I say that because the psychology part, right? What you suppress, it has to come out in some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like a bottle, like maybe you got Coke or a Coke bottle or something like that. You shake it up, right? You shake it up, you shake it up, you shake it up, shake it up, and then you put the top on as tight as you can. When you go to release that pressure, everything in it's gonna shoot out. If we're not healing, we deny ourselves a that's good. When we don't allow ourselves to heal, or allow God to help us along the healing journey, then we close off a part of God's love for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to close off a part of God's love for me, because I know it's going to be hard. No, you're good. You're like, no, you're good.
Yeah, you don't have to keep
Yeah.
commenting. Just go ahead and head out if you want to head out. That's
Um,
perfectly fine.
we
No hard feelings.
we have to remember that God's love is beyond our
For sure, absolutely.
perspective, our comprehension, right? So in healing, oh, this is gonna help somebody. In healing, we have to remember that healing is not for the other person, it's for you. Healing is because the Bible tells us if we don't forgive, we won't be forgiving. And healing is rooted in love and forgiveness. Not just in our love and forgiveness, but when we allow God to heal us, when we allow God to move in us and touch us, then we also can move in peace in whatever situation with whatever person we're having to release or let go.
Yeah.
But we cannot forget. I don't know why I'm like I've been stuck on that, but we cannot forget that even in the midst of healing, God's love doesn't just somehow magically disappear because it gets tough. And some things are heavier than others.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you really, 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 really have to be vigilant about letting God come in and heal your heart, heal your mind, every aspect. But the first start in the natural, even in the spirit, is acknowledging that something is wrong. And we don't like, let's start there. Let's go there. We don't like to admit when things are wrong. We don't like to admit when we're not okay.
Yeah. Start to admit when we're going through something.
And whether we acknowledge it or not, that's still rooted in pride.
Mm-hmm.
Because how prideful is it just submit this to those that are watching and will watch. How prideful is it to think, oh, well, I'm okay. Like this happen all the time. I ain't gotta let nobody know what I'm going through. Like I'ma tough it out. I'ma do this. I'ma be okay. And then go on about your life expecting God to still give you grace and mercy. Still expecting God to show up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're closing the door to a part of his character, to a part of his love. You're literally slamming the door in his face. But we still expect him to bust down the door. We still expect him to clear the path. We still expect God to protect us and to like we have got to do the work. And in order to do the work, you first have to acknowledge that there's work that needs to be done.
Yep.
And if we don't acknowledge that there's work that needs to be done, then the work simply won't get done.
Well, we don't acknowledge the work that need to be done because the work um, requires change,
This is true.
and we don't like change. Healing requires something to change.
Mm.
You have to turn away or give up something that you've been dealing with, and that requires work. It requires faith.
Mm-hmm.
Faith and work go hand in hand. So, in order to heal, I have to have faith and I have to put in the work. So that
Keep going.
but that is the idea that we should carry. That's the mindset that we should carry when we're talking about the healing process, because the healing process isn't just something that you can just wake up and decide that you want to do, or you just can't have something happen and be like, all right, I have all the tools and everything necessary to go through the healing journey. You have to sit down, you have to figure this thing out, and you have to have faith that you can heal through it. And you have to put in the work. It goes one with the other.
I think it's important to note that, like you said, it's not just one day. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna go heal. God, the Lord will literally show you the areas that need to be healed, and then He will also put people in your path along the way to help you heal.
Yeah.
And that's another part that we don't like, because we've been taught that we don't need anybody.
Mm-hmm.
especially those of us that have experienced a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma, especially in our childhood, where we just simply couldn't depend on anybody. We grew up becoming the person that everybody depends on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we suppress our things and we just feel like we have to continue and to continue to just carry everything and put the weight of the world, because we've talked about this a lot, like in our marriage, like you felt like you could not, because I didn't give you a safe space, but because everybody else didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you care? And then I'm looking at you like, well, why would I not care? And we're married. Like I chose you, you chose me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that has, and again, we only speak about the things that we have walked through. It's something that you had to come to the knowledge of, like, why why do I feel like this? Why am I pushing her away when I know that she wants to help me? When you had to, but you first had to acknowledge,
Well,
okay.
that's just it. That's just it. Yes, she's my wife, but think about this. How many times, and we got married
Early,
early, not
kind of early-ish,
early
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 20s.
20s, and that's the important thing. This is something that we didn't have, and hindsight being 2020, and being in the ministry and everything now, we didn't have the proper leadership and the proper tools and necessities to understand that I can talk to that I can talk to my wife, and I can open up to my wife, and I can say, hey, all right, I know the people said this about me, but I know you won't say this about me.
Or that's not your perspective
Yeah,
of me. I
right.
see you in a different light.
Yeah.
And I still chose you in spite of what had been, you know, like, as I'm trying to find the right word so I don't like, um I chose you in spite of what everybody said about you. I chose you in spite of what you felt about yourself. I chose you in spite of the fact that you felt like we loved each other. We knew it was the right thing to get married. But the fact that somebody just chose you simply because of you didn't necessarily have to show up and do anything. You knew that there was a love there just for you. And even with me, like, that love scared us both because we didn't have, like you said, we didn't have the tools, we didn't have the mentorship, we didn't have all of these things. So we had to walk through healing. But before we got on that journey and before we started walking, we both had to sit down and admit that there was work that needed to be done, and then pray and ask the Lord to lead us in that. Like, we have, it's always been us against whatever. I'm grateful that we never turn that inward, because a lot of people do that. Um, and being that, and I think it's important, and it's funny too that God had us talk about this today, because where we started off is not what people get to see. So it's one of those things where you just have to. So it's one of those things where we have to, like you said, go back to the beginning.
Mhm.
I need work.
Yeah.
What is my work?
Yeah.
And if you're married, how do we help each other through the work?
Hmm.
I would say more bitter. However, you learn more when you're forced to, now I use the term forced loosely, we heal more and we learn more when we're challenged. That's the word, not forced, when we're challenged. If we're not challenged, or to think, if we're not challenged to look at it from different points of view, then we're not going to grow. So I mean, I agree with that. Maybe just the wording was, a little bit, but we still in healing, you have to acknowledge there's work to be done and then figure out how. Especially with today being, and I know a lot of people don't, celebrate Valentine's and stuff like that. But February is the month, is the month everybody typically focuses on love. And it's important that we remember God's love in every aspect of our
Yeah.
life. Like our our marriage, to in my opinion, not in a prideful manner, but for those who know the backstory, our marriage mimics, or is like, I ain't gonna say just the epitome of love, but there's been love, there's been grace, because we've just had to walk through so much together. Even when we didn't understand, I didn't leave you when you were healing, you didn't leave me. It was a working thing. Physical eye see the world, the mind I imagine that, the third eye reveals truth, experience becomes wisdom, speech turns that wisdom into light for others. um we we have to also remember that our example is wisdom.
Yeah.
How you handle hard situations, how you handle people, how you handle things being thrown at you, how you handle life, can exemplify your wisdom as well.
Yeah. Wisdom. The most important. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I get that. Um, and on top of that, on top of what you just said, when healing, it's important to have the right community. It's important to have the right people in your healing journey,
Mm.
because you need community. You need um, accountability partners. You need somebody that's gonna hold you accountable. You need people. Am I muted? Am I?
I don't think
Am I
so.
muted?
It should be good now. Go ahead.
But you need people in your corner that's gonna help you in the healing process, in the healing journey, because you can't do it alone. You need a team. You need people that you can lean on, shoulders that you can
Mm.
cry on, because
Yeah.
you're not gonna have it all figured out. You need some people that done been there and done it. So it's important to understand that while you're healing, even we know, God's love is going to get us through.
Mm.
His mercy and grace is going to get us through. But as we walk the natural walk every single day, we need people in our corner. We need people in our community that we can walk with.
Well, see, that's the thing. I can't love him unconditionally. There's always going to be. I can do my best to look past my own conditions and to love him no matter what stage of life he's in. But we're not made to love unconditionally, because we get hurt, we cut people off, we have boundaries, and we have boundaries in place, and we have our non-negotiables, right? There's just certain things that he and I no, I know that there's things that he's not going to deal with. He knows that there are things that I'm not going to deal with. And so when it comes to a partnership, we have to do our due diligence, the work, to ensure not that just things don't happen, because things happen out of our control, but I can't control what he does. I can only control my response to that. And so what you're saying, I'm we're not disagreeing. Just like you're offering a different perspective for us, that's what we're doing. So we definitely appreciate you engaging,
100%.
because
100%.
the parent and child, because we have children, the parent and child relationship is different from here. I chose to have children. We chose to have children. My child didn't choose to be here, right? So that love is different. I choose him every day. He chooses me every day. We choose to love each other every day. And so it's not unconditional, and we say that a lot, but humans can't love unconditionally.
It's always a condition.
There is always some form of condition, because we all get mad the minute somebody does something we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we literally all get upset because we're human. And there's nothing, like you said earlier, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with us being human. There's nothing wrong with feeling. We just can't forget, ultimately, in our feelings, that our response matters. How we respond to people matters.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going through not just healing, when you're going through life, and not just marriage, but with friends, in any type of relationship, you have to remember that, like they say, first impressions are everything. And we hear a lot of people say, I don't care about what nobody think about me. But first impressions are everything. If you're mean and nasty, nobody's going to want to deal with you. That's a condition.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a sweetheart, if you're somebody that's really nice, people will want to, in turn, deal with you. However, there's grace for the one who's mean and nasty, because they can heal and become the sweet person. They can heal and recognize that I'm not mean and nasty necessarily on purpose. I'm mean and nasty because I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders.
That's right.
And when I do the work, I change. When I do the work, my perspective shifts. Excuse me. It was something you said earlier that I wanted to touch on.
Which part?
It was something earlier. Ooh.
It's important to understand
I forgot.
that healing don't happen. It don't happen overnight. It's a process. Everybody healing journey is different. So
Yeah.
don't judge your healing journey by what you see other people, deal with and go through. You know, so if I could end with anything, it'll probably just be letting you guys know, like, don't stop going forward. Heal going forward. Don't give the enemy any foothold in your life when healing. Don't allow the enemy to distract you. Don't allow the enemy to deter you. Don't allow the enemy to hinder you. Continue moving forward in your healing journey. Continue to love through your healing journey. That's what this is all about. Continue to love through your healing journey, because when you love, it allows the healing to go in a way, in a sense, to where you can get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get through it, it's like, oh, that's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. That weight is lifted.
It's easier to heal when you're loving through it,
Or
but
being loved through it.
or when you're being loved through it. That's not an easy task. It's easier said than done to yourself to be loved through healing.
Yeah.
Because
And receive
because
it.
when you're healing, you want to have your guard up, right? You want to be closed off. You want to be boxed in.
Mm.
You don't want to hear what nobody else got to say, right? So if I could leave you guys with anything tonight, just continue to love, continue to allow God to use you through your healing journey. Don't shut him off. Don't shut the people off that's trying to help you.
Yeah.
For the right reasons. Obviously, use wisdom
Discernment.
and discernment when going through your healing journey. But just continue to move forward in this process. Don't go backwards. Don't even stop, because that backsliding is this is just a sidebar. Backsliding is it
Mm.
right. Backsliding isn't necessarily going backwards.
Mm.
It's coming to a standstill. That's what backsliding is.
Yes, hindering or stopping
It's
progress.
it's hindering or stopping your progress. So if you stop, you're healing. You hindering moving forward.
Hinder yourself.
So continue to move forward. We love you. God bless you.
Till next time.
Peace. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, y'all.